You need to figure out what's that relationship like with their child's father. How many fathers are there? To me, that's a red flag. Is there just one? And what's his relationship with you? Is it over? Or do y'all respect each other? Or y'all being petty with each other? What is the kid's relationship with the dad? What is she telling the children about their father? Like, these are things you're gonna have to really look into. You're gonna have to ask some questions. And if it ain't none of your business, red flag. It's my business when it's time to pay for the kid's meal and pick them up and do all that. It's my business then, but I need to be able to count the cost, which means I need to know everything about this situation in order to determine if this is going to be a net negative or a net positive. This is Caesar Walker, the cool, calm, collected one.
And I'm Ronnie Gatry, the emotional one.
And we are the Tipping Point Podcast, your source for the black male's perspective.
Tipping Point Podcast.
We, married men, can be some of the most out of touch dudes walking the face of this planet when it comes to these topics. Which you're shaking your head. You agree?
I'm on the cover of that magazine.
I mean, for good reason. We're not dating.
Right.
We're not on the dating pool. We're married.
Right.
We've been off the market for years, right? I know a lot more than I would know because I've spent time just listening to single people, single men, even single women talk. And so I have an idea of what's out there. I actually recently... I was having a conversation with one of my buddies who's a single guy, and I actually apologized to him recently. Like, dude, I ain't know. Like, he would tell me things, and he would tell me his position in terms of on dating and his preferences. And I remember not really seeing it from his vantage point at all, right? Because in my little paradise, you know, I don't experience that. Right. But once I have begun to digest content on the manosphere and even listen to people that I know in real life speak on these topics, I remember coming back to him and saying, hey, man, I get it. I understand what you're going through. I get it. You know what I mean? It's just a different animal on the dating pool today. Yeah. So I'm curious, Black, based on what we've been discussing in these conversations, are we in the neighborhood? We may not be on the street, but are we in the neighborhood?
Yeah, you're definitely in the neighborhood, especially when you start talking about the whole the fit part of it. Like, I think on their own, guys can figure out the attraction part.
Sure.
And even the connection part. But I think where you guys help the most is once you get past those two, finding the right fit. But
the compatibility piece.
Yeah.
Of it.
So I think just for me, the tough part right now is just finding like the right space to meet someone, because, you know, nowadays people are using apps, and using a dating app, that's real hit or miss, because I don't know if you've seen like statistics, but like women are not very likely to swipe on average men. It's like it's mostly they're swiping on those dream guys. Right. And all the women like pretty much swiping on like maybe 10% of the men out there. Whereas most of the men are very generous with their swipes. But you have to have a match. Right. And they're not matching with a lot of women. And if it's hard to find them online with dating, like, where do you go to meet them in person and like have real conversations? And that's where it's like, I don't know where to go. And then it's probably harder when you get to my age. Like, if you're younger, you probably can get out and meet people. But once you get to a certain age, it's like, where do you go? Like, because at our age, like, do you really want to go out and be in, I guess, club environments?
No.
No.
Could you answer that for us, Gat?
Do not want to be in club environments.
Yeah, I can understand that. I know we're in a smaller city, but I know you do have like matchmaker services and stuff like that. I don't know if they have anything like that here.
Funny you say that. Out of the blue, someone contacted me on LinkedIn, and they say they're a luxury matchmaking company.
You gotta love these adjectives, right?
That's what it said. That's what threw me off. And I'm like,
Luxury in front of anything.
Right.
I'm like, how do I qualify? I'm like,
And how they even know you were single?
hey, they probably just like throwing out as many as they can to see what they catch.
Okay. There's a lot of weird things in the algorithm, so we'll chalk it up to that.
Yeah, but I was surprised. Like, they're out there when you mentioned matchmaking. I'm like, that is an option.
It's a whole business. People, that's a whole business model that people use. But I mean, I don't know how effective it is, but I've heard people make that suggestion about matchmaking services and whatnot.
And it's pretty much like they looking at your resume, they're looking at their resume, and hey, we have a match. Y'all want to meet? Kind of like what you see on those, like I've seen on those Netflix shows, like the matchmakers, especially like the Indian matchmaker, and they have like a Jewish matchmaker.
Yeah.
And I just pretty much they go with resumes, and the first thing I think they tell us is like, you're not going to get 100% of what you ask for on this resume. So you need to like bring your standards down a little bit. And like that always come to she tried to get them to see that you need to be looking for a good person. Like focus on a good person instead of trying to check all the boxes off the top.
Yeah.
To try to at least meet with them.
Right.
But I think matchmaking is probably a good option with someone like a professional matchmaker.
Yes.
Instead
Someone
of
who
trying to-
actually, and someone who you can tell like they've been doing this for a while. Not someone who just, I do this part time when I'm not at Alabama Power. Well, I don't know. You know what I mean? So someone who actually like this is they.
And it seems like, based on what I've seen, is that those matchmakers, they somewhat become advocates for you. Like when they're trying to present you to someone else, they're gonna give you like the good points. They just try to sell them. They try to help you out.
Yeah.
Which some people,
Which I think they should.
I mean, some people may not be good at selling themselves, so having someone do it on your behalf may be good for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was just a suggestion. You know what I mean? Because again, I can understand that can be a moving target and difficult because people's lives, people are busy, people are in their routine of life. You're not thinking maybe I should go just waste an hour or two at this restaurant at the bar and wait to see who comes in. I get that, right? Also, depending on what social scene, the age group and dynamic of people in that social scene, it can be tricky doing that. But yeah, I think a matchmaker service, I would recommend that to people.
Yeah.
Okay. How you been thinking this been going, dude? This conversation we've
the
been
series
having.
has been good overall. I mean, this is selfish of me, but like one of the things I keep thinking of is like, man, I wish I'd had this.
Yeah.
I wish I had put the thought processes together around these things. Now I don't regret the outcome, but
I mean, yeah, you turned out just fine.
I think so.
You just think you've probably been further along in your relationship?
Definitely that.
You would have been a lot more savvy and shrewd in terms of who you chose to entertain when you were single as well.
True, for sure.
So, and that's the thing. I think it's easy for guys to get the dopamine hit by seeing a very attractive woman and you're just full throttle. You know what I mean? 0 to 100. You're pursuing her, not knowing if not only does she like you, but is she someone that you want to be around? You know what I mean? And I can't tell you how many times when I think back in my single journey, how many women who once you meet them, it changes, And so thinking with the head that's on top of your neck instead of the other one.
Right.
I think is going to be vital here because you've been married. You're celebrating how many years this year?
We're coming up on 15.
15.
Yeah.
In a few weeks, it'll be 12.
Oh wow.
For me and my wife. There's some intangibles that her beauty would have never have on its own would have gotten us this far. Whatever reason she liked about me when we were dating wouldn't have gotten us this far. There were some things that we had to do to make it work. And so I've heard people say that the majority of the success in a long-term relationship is finding a fit. That's a lot of the legwork.
Right.
And so we just want to make sure that guys find, and women find, a person who fit them. And so we talked about, I pulled out a lot of things about attraction and connection. And we spent a lot of time we spent some time talking about compatibility. And we talked about religion, we talked about values, we talked about convictions that you may have, right? And not only is it important that this person respects your convictions, but you have to be able to respect theirs. Hopefully, I think it's a red flag if this person doesn't have any convictions, in my personal opinion.
Right.
Because you're going to have to draw a hard line in the sand. If you have values that you stick to, you're going to have to draw a hard line in the sand somewhere eventually. And so I think whether or not the two of you respect each other's convictions is important. We talked about career trajectory. Black brought up a good point. If you know you want to be in a big city and you're not there yet and you meet somebody, I think that's important to discuss. And so where am I going to end up versus where you're going to end up? If you know you want to be close to family and your family lives in Florida, but you have an amazing opportunity, you see opportunities in California, you see opportunities in New York, you see opportunities in bigger cities that take you away from Florida, are y'all compatible? So I think it's important to talk about your careers, not how they are currently, but where they plan on taking you, what you want to achieve, right?
Right.
We talked about lifestyle. We talked about money management. And we talked about stages of life. I may pick back up on that. But we stopped at children. And this is a big one. I got some thoughts because I think children is kind of multifaceted. You can start with two people who don't have kids and their views on children and their expectations there. How important do you think that is to you? From when you hear children in terms of compatibility, obviously this is a doozy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I consider it to be a deal breaker.
Okay.
And I'm speaking solely from the premise of one party wants kids and the other one does not. I don't think there's any changing that, not in a healthy way, just because you start to set the precedent of, if I can change this thing about you, what can I change next? So I think people ought to respect a person's decision not to have kids and not try to change or influence that.
Right.
So, but in terms of the weight of it, as a man with two kids, yeah, like before y'all bring kids into the world, yeah, that needs to be ironed out. And again, I'll say it again, it is a deal breaker in my opinion, like to where you just don't progress beyond that part of the relationship.
Do you think it's this romantic Hollywood idea that once we have them, it'll change your opinions and thoughts on them?
Yeah, I do think a lot of people buy into that. She will never listen to this, so I think I'm clear. But there's a lady I know who's been divorced and just got engaged recently, and her fiance wants kids and she does not. And she cannot even fathom the thought of it. And so
You said fiance?
yeah. So to make a very long story short, this is their holdup. And so I find myself in these situations where people tell me things, whatever. But I'm very confident that this person will never hear this. So,
What's her name again?
what's the name I use?
Letitia.
Letitia.
I forget. We ain't seen her in a while.
I hope Letitia never sees this. But yeah, but you know, She got to a point and she just asked me, "You think I'm wrong?" And I was like, "No, I don't think." For whatever reason you don't want to have kids, that's your reason. But it's that big of a decision to where I don't think you need to waver, and I don't think you need to start that process of catering to someone else's desires, even if you're engaged to them, to hopefully change your mind. That could lead to some later resentment. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm thankful, I'm blessed that my wife and I always agreed on that. Our disagreement was on how many, but that I don't think that's a deal breaker. Yeah.
That's one of the things that can be negotiated.
Yeah. But we both knew we wanted them. We both knew we wanted at least two.
And I think that's normal.
Check.
That's
Yeah.
normal for 3, 2.
And thankful for her because like once we started having them, I wanted like 8 more. And I know that's very emotionally driven, and I know realistically that would have never turned out well. So anyway, but yeah, I encourage her to hold firm on her beliefs, and I told her just like I'm saying now, you do not waver on that. That is a life decision. That is a life decision, bro. Because once you have kids by this person, whether the marriage works out or not, y'all are bonded forever.
Interesting. That's interesting. So if that's the holdup, what's the conclusion?
What do you mean?
If that's the holdup that they're trying to get in agreement on children,
well.
what is the desired outcome?
Stay tuned.
Unless they're just going to be lifers as fiancés.
Is that a thing?
No, because
Okay.
he wants kids.
Right. Oh, and not only that, it's not fair to him. I didn't even talk about the dude.
I think what makes this so interesting is the conversation is fit. Right? It's about fit. So it's not even a moral issue. It's not even am I wrong? Am I bad? Am I this? Am I that? Do you fit each other? And so that's why I try to take the whole validation piece out of it, you know? And I think a lot of people look at it as though this is just a validating exercise. And I think that's how a lot of people easily get offended when we start talking about these topics. You start talking about worth and value and all that is that's what you're seeking validation if you're assessing your worth on an outcome. Does this person fit you? Okay. Let's go back to examples that are easier to digest. Person A is a Christian. Person A is agnostic. Are they a fit? No. Is person B a bad person? Probably not. They may be a sweet, amazing person. They just don't believe in Jesus. Person A may be a good person, but those two together aren't a good match moving forward. To your point, you're talking about resentment. Either way this plays out, there's going to be some resentment. If she does have a child, she's going to resent him for it forever because she's going to think about what her life could have been like if she had stuck to her guns and done what she always knew she wanted to do. If they never have a child, he's going to resent her because every time he sees a child, he's going to wonder, what if? Right? So it's not that the two of you are bad people. It's just that y'all don't fit. And she can be a special person, an amazing woman. But if she doesn't want the type of relationship in marriage and life that you don't want, that is a sign that y'all aren't compatible.
100%.
Even though y'all have an amazing connection, she's incredibly attractive, and you actually care about her. She actually cares about you.
Right.
But how many people have a great connection, care about each other, attracted to each other, signing divorce papers? Because of these types of situations right here. You got thoughts?
I was just wondering, is it that she doesn't want to have a child, or that she doesn't want to birth a child, Does she just not want a baby? Like,
She can't really see herself having a kid in the type of world we live in now.
oh,
She
okay.
thinks it's getting worse. And so that I understand. I don't know this. I don't know this because she did not disclose this to me.
I hope it's deeper than that.
I kind of detected some maybe mommy issues.
Okay.
That could be driving this. Maybe I don't know anything about her mom. She hasn't brought her mom up in conversation with me.
How did you? Well, what made you jump to that conclusion?
Well, it's just I think you think about the one thing that makes a woman truly unique is their ability to birth humans. Only women can do that.
I was just thinking her career or something like that.
No, I mean she's in a career that would be conducive to being a mom for sure, and him as well. Well, yeah, him as well. Like, but no, I think that's something. Not all women, but most women.
Yeah.
You know, I think that would light most of their fires, and I've seen the other side of it, to where some women that I know who have not been able to do that, and that emotional toll it takes on them. So I've never been a woman, but I would have to assume this has to be a high value point in terms of the essence of what women can do.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, if you're like in my situation, you have to think about kids from a different perspective. Like, for me, it's, are you done having kids?
Right.
How old are your kids? How independent are your kids?
Well, we're gonna talk about kids
That's a good
already
point.
being in the picture.
Yeah.
That's another aspect that
So,
we
like,
were definitely going to talk about.
I'm not in that situation where we got to decide, hey, do we want to start? Like, no. At this point,
So you don't want to have kids at this point.
I don't mind kids, but you can have kids, and I'm still working through, I guess, the numbers. Like, where would I be comfortable, like,
Yeah.
stepping in? Like, would I want to be, like, middle school age or out the house? Do I want,
Right.
like, how much?
You last time we talked about this, I think you were in that adolescent stage.
Yeah.
To where they had a few more years in the house and then they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were somewhat independent.
Gotcha. Okay.
But that's different. I'm in a different situation, like newlyweds,
Right.
young newlyweds.
So you're not impregnating a woman at this point in your life. You passed.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Before we get to single moms, do you think stage of life? Let's bring that back into this conversation because I introduced it in the last one. The two of you may agree on children, but one is ready to have kids now because they're towards the end of that window.
Yeah.
He chilling because he trying to rise that corporate ladder. He ain't gonna be able to come home and be he's putting in 60 hours.
Yeah.
Give it he wants to take. Are we compatible?
Yeah. I think that's salvageable.
That's salvageable.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So how do two people work that out? And I'm not saying that's necessarily wrong because there can be some compromise. But again, if this person is on his mission and he's not ready to be a dad just yet, he wants to be a dad just not just yet, and he's meeting someone who she's ready to get pregnant yesterday.
Yeah, that's an expectation that can be voiced in the presence of a professional.
Okay.
That could be worked through. Again, I don't think person A wants kids, person B does not. I don't think that's something that can be talked through.
Okay.
But yeah, in terms of timing when you want to have them, yeah. Go sit down and talk to somebody about that. Y'all can work that out. And I even think, hot take here, I even think compromise is okay here.
In terms of when?
Yeah, because you've done the heavy lifting.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
I think it's
if somebody-
possible.
If somebody has to compromise, I give that the Gatry green check emoji.
Okay. I think it's possible in general.
Okay.
In terms of timing
Yeah.
and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Number. That can be worked out. In this specific scenario, I'm not sure if it can be.
Well, okay. Well, consider this, Walker.
Like she's 39.
Well-
She just met somebody. He ain't ready to have no kids just yet.
Fine, but Walker, you got to hear this. Timing could be an issue regardless if both of y'all want them at the same time.
Sure.
Due to factors outside of your control.
Sure.
So timing is something you're going to have to deal with regardless.
Okay.
Because it's not a guarantee that it's going to happen when both of y'all want it.
Sure.
That's why I think you can deal with it. Even if one person says, well, I got to have them now, one person says, no, let's wait 3 years.
Okay.
I might be waiting 5.
Well, my thing is that I understand your point there but at the same time, the two of you are in agreement at this point.
True.
But if you're not in agreement, that to me, that's where I think the potential friction occurs.
Well, yeah.
Right. So you're talking about you're talking. Jesus Christ. You're talking about natural, like when will it naturally happen if we're waiting? But the two of you are trying. The two of you on the same page. Is that what you're talking about?
Kind of. I think they're all at the same family reunion.
Okay.
Because it's all under time. With your example, it's a predictive time. It's a curated time. Well, this is what I want. Well, this is what I want. We don't agree. Okay?
Okay.
I don't think you walk away. I don't think that threatens compatibility.
Well, what I'm saying is you have to talk. So, good point. What I'm saying is I'm not saying red flag.
Okay. You're
not saying
does it mean you're compatible or not?
I'm saying this is going to be something the two of you have to talk through and see if there is any wiggle room.
Yeah.
Any wiggle room here.
It's like toilet seat up or down.
But what if there isn't any?
Oh, what if there isn't any? Is this what you've been asking the whole time?
Welcome.
I just got here. What is this?
I agree. They need to talk about it. All this stuff needs to be talked about.
But if
all of it needs to be talked
there
about.
Are lines drawn in the
sand. But
sand.
if she is saying, no, dear, I ain't got the money to be freezing eggs and doing this process, I gotta go now. And he's like, ooh, about that. Is there a compromise? I'm being very specific here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There is one.
Yeah. Especially using that exact example you gave.
Okay.
Because I mean, in the realm of your example,
okay,
that dude being selfish.
Huh?
I can say it in 4 different languages if you want me to.
Wait a minute. How is he being selfish?
I don't want kids right now because I want to climb the corporate ladder.
What's different from what the conversation you had with the person, Letitia? What's the difference between those two?
There's a more emotional issue there.
And it's a reason.
He wants to have kids.
Just not yet.
Right. Do you see how different those are? Letitia does not want kids. Ever.
Sure. But how is he being selfish?
Because if his reason's only to climb the corporate ladder versus like bringing a life form in, bringing in your seed.
If he's not ready to have kids just yet, I think that's
the
fine.
reason I think it's selfish.
Okay. What you think?
I'm open to being wrong here, Walker.
What you think?
I'm shocked at Gatry's stance on this.
But think about it. And again, I'm dad AF. But it's a lot that happens in your heart that changes when you see this vessel slide out of the canal.
Okay.
There's a lot that changes. But you know what that is too? That is the breaking point for selfishness. It can no longer exist if you want to be an active and present father. It can no longer exist as soon as you cut that cord.
I don't know if you can prove that. I don't know if we can jump there just yet.
Am I getting too far ahead?
Because here's the thing: if he's thinking about what if a part of this guy is thinking this woman's going to be out of work and it's going to be on me. I need to make sure we're good. Now, he may be good if they decide to have a child now. But again, you're talking, you mentioned an emotional response in that woman. How can we not validate how he feels about the situation?
Because he wants to have kids. That's the big. Like I said, that's why you take two people who don't, or two people and one does and one doesn't. That's why it's a deal breaker.
So working it
the
out,
fact that he wants to,
working it out means have the kids.
Yeah, compromise, bro.
That's not a compromise.
What is it?
That's the woman getting what she wants when she wants it.
Okay, well then I'll go back to the top of your question.
Okay.
What does compromise look like in that example?
When both people give up something.
What can you do there?
What can you do where when?
What does he say? Okay, well, I know you want it now, and it's going to take me 2 years to get to sea level. How about I meet you in the middle and we have it next year? And we start trying next year.
Okay.
That's a compromise?
That would probably be a compromise, yeah. That would be a compromise. But what if he's not willing to do that?
We keep going back to this.
The thing that stuck out to me was in your Letitia example, you brought up the word resentment. If she had that baby,
I brought
she
it
would.
up.
Well,
I
okay.
brought it up.
Well,
We were speculating. We don't know that.
Like she could. It's a possibility that she could resent having that baby.
Oh, yeah.
But also in the same situation with the guy, if that baby comes when he's not ready for it, you can experience the same kind of resentment.
But does it take away from the fact that he wants kids?
It's the resentment part of it that I'm looking at. Like, how would he feel about it once it's here in either situation?
I don't think I can get to where y'all are. I think I'm simplifying.
I mean, you can't think of a guy in any of your circles that like a baby came, they weren't ready for it, and they had feelings.
And it's not
about
that they
it.
didn't want kids.
Time out here.
Okay,
no one's ever ready for kids. Can we put that out here?
I thought dad was you super dad, right?
Yeah, but I'm still not ready.
15 years in a marriage.
This guy.
My 10-year-old hit me with the puberty. I wasn't ready for that.
You had to have the birds and the bees talk with him.
Well, we're building on that, but I wasn't ready. It's not like, okay.
You need a special therapy session for that
he's
one.
10 now, okay? He's going to ask for this. Get ready, Roddy. No, you're never ready. You think you are, but you have no idea. You know this.
But that doesn't take away the possibility of
that you're-
resentment.
But let's go back to your question because I'm getting...
You're arguing you're ready versus actually prepared.
And we need to get out of here. We need to get out of this part of the conversation. If there's no compromise... No, Walker, I'm going to get with you. I'm still on Power Tail. Give me a minute.
Wow.
My BHAM folks will get that one. If he is not, or if they're not willing to compromise, is that a compatibility
Issue.
threat?
Yes. Is there an issue to compatibility if there's no middle ground?
Yes. Because if there's no middle ground, then nobody's getting what they both thought they wanted initially.
That's all I'm saying.
This is where you've been the past 15 minutes?
Yeah. But listen, man.
You got a Nokia charger?
So you can play Snake? I agree. This is a topic that can be negotiated, but there are certain unique scenarios where there's not a lot of room to concede based on the timing of where, again, I factored in stages of life. This person is at a different stage of life than this person, because again, men are controlled by, they have a much wider window than a woman does. She ain't got time for, she's got to go now. Depending on where she is in life, she's got to go now, right? If he's not ready and he's not willing to have that conversation and concede some, are y'all compatible? Is the question. And that's a real scenario. That's a real scenario. And I think, again, having conversations as you're dating about these things is important, because the guy needs to know what is my timeline with you? What am I working with? Can I work on, because again, you don't dictate when this person comes in and out of your life. You could have been on your way working on these things and you had a plan in place, a 5-year plan to get here. You meet someone in that span of time, get married, have a family. What does that do to that timeline? And how committed and dedicated are you to that purpose? That can be a potential issue. Not saying it's guaranteed it's going to be a problem, but it could be a potential problem. But you won't know that until y'all have a conversation about it. and really be honest with each other.
What else you got?
What do you think about dating a woman with kids in terms of compatibility?
I think Black should strongly consider it.
Okay. Well, he is.
Yeah, I know my options.
Okay.
I got to be willing to accept that.
Just so I can be respectful of this question, are we talking about the threat to compatibility if, say, he Black is dating a woman with kids?
Well, he don't want kids. Yeah. He don't really want kids. Or let's make this relatable to Black. He meets a woman, attractive, they hit it off. She actually is into him. He enjoys being around her, but he finds out she has small kids.
Yeah.
You heard what he said. He just said earlier.
He's got a threshold. He wants adolescent and up.
And some independence.
Right.
Instant stepdaddy.
Right.
Go.
Not only are they small, do they have the same father?
We're gonna get to that. Let's take it piece by piece. Let's just deal with you. Just see the kids. You see them first before you see any evidence of a dad. How you feeling? Is that
how young are we talking?
They ain't independent. That young.
Hey, show him your phone real quick. That young.
No, I'm like, they that young. She needs to be with him if they that young.
Things happen.
You need to try to work it out with him if they're that young.
Things happen. It don't always work out.
But
it shouldn't like.
Okay, so we
jump off.
So we found something. We found oil. We found oil, right? So for you, even though a lot of things check out, you understand that she has kids that are of an age to where they are a higher priority than you or even the relationship.
Yeah.
And for you to connect with her, to continue to develop and build this invest into this relationship, those kids have to become a priority for you. Right?
Yeah, and I'm trying not to go too far ahead, but in this scenario, these young kids got to be a priority for me. But where does their actual father, fit into this whole dynamic?
What if he is available? What if he is around? Because you got to think about it. Even if he's in their lives, and let's say that he gets them on weekends, right? You talking 2 days or 2 weekends out the month. Where are they the rest of the time?
They're with us. I'm still like the whole like the man to woman, the dynamic, like how do they interact versus how we supposed to interact, and
what's their relationship? Is
their relationship is kind of key in this too.
Absolutely. So, right. So if they're co-parenting and they're trying to do what's best for the kids and they're being adults about it.
And they're in agreement.
Yes. They may not always agree on the same things. Daddy said, child don't need this. Mama says, get it for him. You know, that happens.
But like
parenting situations.
And I have to figure out like, hey, when that goes on, I have no say in the situation. Because he only with them like 2 days after.
That's tricky.
I know. See, like those kind of like that's why
that's
like
tricky. That's tricky.
Like
it almost needs. Okay, so you hear about men talking to the father and getting an understanding and whatnot, right?
Right.
So it's almost in a way, if you have any role in that, because sometimes people don't even let you get in between that, right? If I could think of a lot of women, they would probably try to shield you from a lot of that if they care about you, right? I would think. No?
I mean, yes, but I'm still thinking like other scenarios.
You still see it, but at the same time, they're going to try to handle it apart from pulling you into it.
And then when the child says, "You're not my daddy, you can't tell me what to do."
All right, then I'll call you dad.
But that's where the mom comes into play.
Yeah, so she got to be extremely fair and emotionally intelligent and great at like managing those situations.
Okay.
So she got to be able to manage her household and her relationship with a man who's not in our household, and the dynamic between the stepdad and the stepkids. Like, there's a lot of juggling she got to do to try to manage all these different people.
Yeah.
And is she capable of doing that? Because I don't want to be petty, but like, if you tell me this is my role, this is going to be my role. If you tell me to not do this when it comes to the kids, I will not do it.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, these things should be discussed. The biggest thing that, do you have any thoughts on this that you want to say generally?
No, I mean, I'm trying to think of your question.
In terms of compatibility?
Yeah, like,
Well, okay, let me bring it in to compatibility. One of the things that I appreciate about the manosphere, I have an appreciation and a critique here. Okay? I appreciate that within the manosphere, they made it okay. They've assured men that it's okay if you don't want to be a stepfather. That's okay. My critique, and not with the entire manosphere, right? But there are ideas that come out of the manosphere that you are a grade class A simp if you do play stepfather in a relationship with a woman or date a woman with a child or kids. I don't necessarily agree with that in and of itself, right? The reason why is what I would encourage men to do is, there's a scripture in Luke 14, chapter 14, verse 28. It says, "For which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it?" My advice to men, because when we talk about compatibility, the main person who is at the center of this evaluation process is always going to be you. Is this something that you want to do? If you evaluate this situation and you determine that with all that comes with being an instant stepdad, all that comes with the little credit that you receive for being a stepdad, all that comes with your investment into the kids, if you weigh out everything and you still determine that this is a net positive because of the value this woman is bringing into your life, and you decide, I'm cool with it. If you've counted the cost and you determine that I'm able to finish this, I'm able to see this through, then you've done everything that I suggest you do. You need to figure out what you're getting into. And to Black's point, you need to figure out what's that relationship like with their child's father. How many fathers are there? To me, that's a red flag. How many fathers are there? Is it just one? And what's his relationship with you? Is it over? Is it really over? Or do y'all respect each other? Or y'all being petty with each other? What is the kid's relationship with the dad? You know what I mean? What is she telling the children about their father? Like, these are things you're going to have to really look into. How did that situation get resolved? How much do the children even know about y'all? Right? Or do they know everything?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? These are things that you're going to have to ask some questions. And if it ain't none of your business, red flag. Red flag, because you can see it's my business when it's time to pay for the kids' meal and pick them up and do all that. It's my business then, but I need to be able to count the cost, which means I need to know everything about this situation in order to determine if this is going to be a net negative or a net positive. Thoughts?
Agree.
Okay.
Agree.
So yeah, I understand that sometimes men get into situations with women who have kids. You need to ask yourself, does this get in the way of your purpose? Are you able to pursue what you've been put on this earth to do? Can you still achieve what you need to achieve? And does this woman, just like a dude who's short, can he compensate for the fact that he may not be the tallest dude, the most attractive? What else is he doing to overcome those things? What is she doing to overcome what does she bring? What does she add to your life? Does she make your life easier? Does she remove some hurdles and some things in your life? Is it easier for you to function because she removes certain distractions? If she's doing those things and it's a net positive, then it's your choice, bruh. But I don't think you necessarily a sim for that.
I mean, some guys could actually that may be an ideal situation for them. Like they probably want kids and to be
They
a
just
father.
They don't
But they want to go into that situation and make it better. Like there may be that purpose of go into that situation. They met this woman. They see they can make their situation better.
Yeah.
And that may be his purpose.
I don't knock dudes for if as long as you've done your what I hate to see is a guy jump into that situation and have some regret down the road. Now you played yourself. But if you've done your due diligence and you've decided this woman adds value to my life, this is a woman who I want to be a part of my life.
And these kids add value to my life.
There you go. Go for it.
I mean, because your kids could give you something you've been missing.
Yeah.
They can feel something.
They can fall in love. And kids do that. There's some kids who get attached and you are just a part of the family. So yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. So children is a biggie.
Huge.
It's a biggie. And I think while there are certain red flags, I think you won't discover a lot unless there's just glaring red flags. A lot of these things you won't find until you actually begin to have conversations. So hopefully, if this is someone that you're getting this far with them, you're having that conversation about expectations and managing expectations.
Yeah, there are plenty of cases of successfully blended families.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to see if you got the right mix.
Absolutely. Yeah, again, I think if we can say, brother, you okay if you don't want to be a stepdad, that's fine. If you do want to be a stepdad, that's fine. All I ask is that in both cases,
Go with your eyes wide open.
you count the cost. You understand if you got enough materials to build this tower. Family. This your favorite one right here, Gat?
What, family?
Yeah.
What about her?
You think
like extended family?
in terms of their family.
Oh, yeah, it's important. But that's something I don't think you can prepare for.
Go on.
It's something that there should be some signs before y'all take that step. But I believe that if you do decide to get married, once you do get married, that's when you really see the family dynamic. Because it's all good when we're dating on the way to marriage, when we're courting on the way to marriage. Oh, so good. He's cute. She's cute. They'll make a great couple. But the day after that wedding, you're going to see who that family is.
Sure.
So, do I think there are certain questions you can ask beforehand? Sure. But I just don't know if there's any realistic safeguard that can protect you from what could be on the other side.
I don't know if there's a protection there. I'm not saying a protection. What I'm saying is, let's go into it.
Well, we talking about what last week's guest said about it. Like, that should have been a red flag. Like, he never really met the family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And turned out what he thought the family was based on what he heard was not the case.
Yeah.
He actually loved the family. But in the same, that could be in a different situation, and you don't meet the family, you can hate the family.
Yeah.
I guess with you two guys, just a quick question. How long did y'all wait before you let your now wife meet your family? Like, was there a long period before you was like...
I'm not a good person to ask that question.
I'm not either.
Why not you?
It sounded like it was immediately for both of you guys.
Yeah, just because
Well-
my wife and I go to the same church. My parents
Yeah,
go to.
that's
My
how
sister
it,
goes
that's
to.
how it was for us.
Okay.
So like our families knew each other.
My wife like taught the children's church class that my younger sister was in. So like she.
So did I tell you that me and my wife went out in high school? Did I ever tell you that?
No.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to somebody the other day. Said I know everything about Walker. Asterisk.
You talking to yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only person that'll listen.
That's his best friend.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we hung out. I mean, because we've known each other a long time. So
Yeah.
when I know I told you, I was like, your story isn't that unique about, you say you and your wife are like enemies or whatever.
Yeah.
We weren't enemies, but we realized in high school after a date or so, this ain't it. This ain't it.
Okay.
And we didn't go to the same high school, went to the same church. We ended up going to college together.
Right.
And would see her, hey, how you doing? How's your folks? Da 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 da. Even rode home with her one time. But yeah, I never looked at her that way.
Yeah.
But our families have known each other for such a long time. So that's a tough question to answer in that regard. When we had no intentions, our families, well, yeah, I met their families.
Okay.
So what I'm talking about is what kind of environment does she come from? What type of environment does he come from? And we tend to make a big deal, and I'm not saying that it's not, because there's statistics that prove that two-parent households are an efficient way for a child to grow up. We're in Alabama. We're in Birmingham. Just south of Birmingham is a city called Hoover. Last year, there was a certain young black woman who made headlines for faking her abduction.
We talked about this at work yesterday.
And she came slap out of a two-parent household. I got a good dude I grew up with, lived across the street, my neighborhood. Almost match for match. We the same age. Our sisters are the same age. Parents married. I'm in sports. He in sports. I went to private school. He went to private school. Because I'm a child, I don't know any better. I think everything's good in your house, right? Everything looks good on the outside, right? Soon as we became of age, him and his sister moved cross country. And not long after they were up and out the house, parents divorced. Who would have thunk, right? Had no clue. We never I mean, obviously I wouldn't know to ask, but you just you never know what even though the outside of it looks good, you don't know what the environment is like on the inside, right? So my point is, when you talk about family, what was the environment like? How do they communicate with each other? Are they loud? We had Emmanuel on. He was saying, hey, at my house, we used our inside voices. This family, they talk loud. Yeah. So one person feels like, hey, could you not yell at me? Like, you know what I mean? How do we communicate? How do your family communicate? Do y'all get real excited to the point y'all yelling? How do y'all address conflict? Now, these are some things that if you're paying attention, you can pick this up. Family gatherings. I pick this up watching my wife's family. I have conversations with my wife about my family. Oh yeah, he ain't talking to them because da 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 da.
It happens in every family.
How does your family address? Do they ignore it? Do they confront it? Do they just talk bad about whoever they got an issue with and never did? How do they address your family situation? Can give you a clue in terms, not necessarily, it's not an exact science, it's not a guarantee, but it can give context into how they operate. Thoughts?
I mean, all that's factual.
Okay.
We're talking about how does that impact compatibility?
Yes. Again, just observing, because if you like to confront,
That's hard. That's a tough one.
it's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
I'm not saying let's back up. Let's back up. I'm not saying you're not compatible based on family.
Right.
But I'm saying these are conversations to have in terms of how do you address this leads into the conversation. How do you address conflict?
Okay.
Based on when you go to premarital counseling, what do they start asking you about?
Expectations.
And where do expectations stem from?
Desires.
Expectations stem from family history.
Oh, family structure. Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That's designed to spark conversation
Right.
in terms of expectations. So when an issue comes up, do you expect me to sweep it under the rug? Because that's what.
Okay. I took this the wrong way. I see where you are now.
Okay.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's where I'm going now. So you grew up sweeping things under the rug. I have an issue, but you don't want to talk about it. I've been asking you to talk about this for weeks, but you keep avoiding me. But we find out that's what you've always have done.
Right.
Why do you keep pressing the issue? Because in my house, we don't let it go this long. How do you address things? And to me, that plays a factor in terms of determining, are we compatible to move forward based on how we have been socialized to react to certain situations?
Linked to our family dynamic.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Okay. You with me now?
I'm with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thoughts, gentlemen? You got me working today. I feel like I'm sweating over here.
I guess you had me thinking about, I don't know if this applies exactly, but like, I don't know if this was real or something that I saw, but the way, say you're married and your wife and their family, like their family, like when they all around together, they may put her down and she's fine with it. But when they do that around you, you have an issue with it because I guess I'm thinking about the situation. It's the way, it's the way you feel. I'm like, was this real or was it?
Fourth camera.
It's right. It's real AF, Black.
Oh yeah. So like I guess you got to try to work your way through.
Ooh,
like,
he dancing. Look at it.
Hey, you sweated a minute ago. Now you sweating. I've never seen Black like this.
We're here now. I'm like, go, Black. You to put it out there now.
It's one of the deals with like, how you know, like you be like, you drive and you see some of the distance, like, what's that? You keep driving close, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So my thoughts start off with the distance. Now it's like, it's getting to focus. I'm like,
3D.
Oh. That's the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to deal with like the way they communicate within their family. Like, how do you, yeah. Thoughts catch.
I'm trying not to just fast forward to the end.
I mean, but would that be like something along the lines of what you're talking about, like how the family dynamic is, how they communicate, versus how you communicate with her, and like she may be fine with the way they talk to her, but
or not. You just have never. Again, some of this stuff you don't really like. It's almost because it's so embedded in you. You don't even realize you're doing it because you've been programmed to do it for years.
Oh, and I did have a friend that it didn't work out because when they get into a disagreement, she came from an environment where like she's loud and aggressive in arguments, and he like shuts down. And it got too much for him because like he don't like to yell. He don't even like to be like in a room with people yelling like that.
Right.
So when they ended up like parting ways. It's like she was like, well, that's how I raised. That's how we talk. We get aggressive. We get loud. And it's like it didn't.
That don't work with him.
No, he's like quiet. Let me get in my car, drive, come back. Hopefully, you're not still in that same type of mood. But it ended up not working out because they were married.
How did your mom and dad interact?
Mine?
No, just in general.
Oh,
Not yours, yeah. Just in general, how did they interact? Were they touchy-feely? Were they affectionate around the kids? Did you see them?
These are things that
Hold
are going to
hands?
matter a lot as you mature into a marriage.
Did they hold hands? Did you see them kiss in front of you? Right?
did you see them argue?
Did you see them argue? Thank you. You're taking me there. Did you see them? How did they argue? Did they go there? Right? Did they decide? Did they say we'll discuss this later? Or did they just go? They went for it. Did they curse at each other? How do they interact? These are important.
100%.
These are important things because that shapes how the dynamic. That shapes how you see things. Even if you didn't agree with it as a child, what did you see?
And in some cases, you may witness something, just like most kids do. Like, well, when I grow up, I'm not going to be like you. I'm going to be the opposite of you.
Right. It's not a given that they're going to be.
But
the
like you may
same
go
way.
go to the extreme, trying
Right.
not to be like your parents were.
Absolutely. I think it's a story that if two boys grew up in a house, dad was an alcoholic. One became an alcoholic, the other one can't stand the smell of alcohol. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it all of them from the same environment, but it can create various different responses
100%.
in that regard. You just need to understand the family environment because in a lot of cases, it can put into context how this person has been programmed to function, what their expectations are, so on and so forth.
Yeah, why y'all go out and this guy don't want to drink?
Yeah.
Well, maybe he grew up in a house with an alcoholic.
Yeah. Or no alcohol present. It's like, I never developed a taste for it. That's me, by the way. But
Not me.
Not me either.
what's her mom like? Ladies, what's his dad like?
Is their house clean?
Getting there. We getting there. Black wants us to hurry.
He
want to get to the good stuff. Yeah, he like that.
I just like questions that people have.
Yeah. What is a,
We almost got a sneak peek at this last week.
real talk though? Real talk. They say you want to know what a woman looks like, gonna look like in the future? What does her mom look like?
That's true.
That's gonna be her. So if her mom in her age looks great, looks well, but also what is her temperament like
Right. That's the key.
at her age?
You got something to say,
Ish.
Gat?
Nah, I mean the looks are okay, but the looks only mean so much.
It's
Could be
important.
looking at a disaster.
Listen, but it's important. It's important now. If mama built like a mini fridge, and this girl is shaped like a, just saying, don't
You
get.
chose violence today.
Just saying.
Okay.
Got the Constructicons.
Oh my gosh. But you're not wrong though.
But what is her temperament like? Is she feminine? Is she kind of regal, just full of? Is she pleasant in her old age, or is she combative? She disagreeable. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen to this woman because, again, just like we argued, she may go the opposite direction, right? However, that is worth having a conversation about. What was mom like? What was dad like? Ladies, what was his dad like? Was his dad around? Was his dad, when his dad had pressure on him, what did he do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Family stuff is important, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
No, I guess just try to get as much
You said
insight.
clean. You said clean house, right?
Yeah. You don't
What
want
was the environment like? Was her home peaceful? Was it neat? Or were they hoarders? What's her car like? Right?
Well, every woman's car is going to be a disaster.
check engine light always on.
Oh, you talking about that?
What you talking about?
Women keep a junky car. It's a fact.
Okay.
Fact.
Like who, for instance?
My wife, number one.
She's all women?
Yes.
Yeah. She like
Dude.
she like Shaka Khan. I'm every woman.
It's all in me.
Gosh. She's the prime example, but I can think of numerous women with junky cars.
But I mean, the thing about it is, it may not be that big of an issue
No.
because some guys like to clean cars.
True.
Sure.
My wife does not keep an unclean house, though, so I don't know why that doesn't translate to the vehicle. But
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is
But the
interesting.
house is important.
right,
The house is important. If you value peace and her place is not neat and clean, that should be concerning.
I don't know about you, but I sleep much better in the clean house.
well, I think most people do.
I do a lot of things better in a clean house.
All right,
A lot of things better. But yeah, that's something to keep thought of, to keep in mind of.
Because with me, that clean house points directly to, can I eat this food? If your house ain't clean,
Is she clean?
mm-hmm.
That's another thing. Is she clean? So, if the house is cluttered, is she cluttered? Up here.
You're like, let's go. You want something to eat? I'm like, yeah. Let me wash these dishes first for you before you.
I'm out.
You got some paper plates?
wait, you're not helping clean the dishes?
No. No.
He keep his paper plates in the car. You got something you want to say, Gad?
If I'm dating this woman,
Yeah. Yeah.
house junkie. I can see Gatry.
I mean, I guess it all depends on what you consider to be junky.
I don't throw that word around loosely. It's junky.
What if the shoe's on the other foot?
And I'm junky?
Yeah.
I'm not expecting her to clean up after me.
What if she does?
Marry her. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Goodness
Because
gracious.
someone in here may be asking from experience.
Gotcha.
There were some things around the house, like my wife had to teach me how to clean when we were dating.
Yeah.
Dude, does your mom
she's
listen
a
to this?
clean woman, though. That's the point.
But I'm sure she was like,
Dude, your
can't
mom
believe-
listens to this. You want to recant?
no.
yeah.
Mom and I can have this convo. Mom,
But
call
see,
me.
this is my point, though. But that's the beauty of it. Who had to teach who to be clean?
She had to teach me.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd rather it be that way than the other way around.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
If I gotta
I'm good with that.
If I gotta teach her to be clean, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Noted.
You need the time to and date with my chest.
Okay. That's on you, West Side Walker. I'm
Health?
sticking with that.
Sticking with what?
West Side Walker.
Health.
He's not even here.
Nope. Nope. We talked about this during the attraction, but there's an alignment piece to this as well in terms of what are we going to eat? What are we going to partake? What is her diet? What does she take in? What does she consume? Not only from food, but music, entertainment. What does she consume? My in-laws was telling me and my wife, because they do counseling, and they was telling me about a couple they counseled, and the husband was like, man, she just be acting up. And they went on to find out that the wife watches a lot of reality TV.
Oh gosh.
And you would think that people would just leave it on TV. But you'll be amazed at how people will begin to adopt personalities and traits. All these sayings we hearing, people saying,
Stand on business.
yeah,
My personal favorite.
period. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of things that we are adopting into our own lives. What is this person? Same for the guy. What is he consuming? What is he consuming?
He's just consuming all Manosphere red pill.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Funny, you agree on that one.
Yeah, because I consume none of that stuff.
So that's important.
You know, what influences them?
One of the biggest generational curses in our community is diet and foods that have been passed down and rituals and whatnot. What's our diet like? That's important.
That's very important.
Because we got to stay around for these babies, right?
Man,
I
okay.
watched my grandmother, God rest her soul, leave this earth prematurely. Terrible diet, Gat. Terrible diet. When I look back on it, it's not a mystery how we lose. You know, we like to say the Lord took some people, but if you just look a little closely, you can see what happened. If your folks ate bad, your grandparents ate bad, you eat bad, her folks ate bad, like we got to determine, because however she eats, that's going to be in your house. So it's just something to consider. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah. Again, more things I did not pay that close of attention to, but I was on the other side of some of those
In terms of
health.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. But I didn't realize till later on in life, after we got married, that the reason she was so curious about my health had to do with longevity plans. So that's definitely crucial.
My wife has gotten on to me about going to the doctor. I think that's a blessing.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? That's
it's
a blessing.
when your woman cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's important. So she has a doctor.
Yeah.
She goes to the doctor. She makes sure I go to the, you know what I mean? Like
100%.
these are things, and these are to me, when it goes to the cleanliness, the health thing, these are things that my wife is better at than me. Now I'm pretty clean. I am not gonna hold you. But when it comes to the health thing, I start working out because my wife was working out. I became a workout warrior because she was a workout warrior.
Right.
She was like, you want to work out? No, I'm good. Once we got married and we were spending time together, start going to the gym. Got a gym membership. We started doing this. I credit her for my health lifestyle. Like me getting on that health kick and losing weight. And I credit her for that because I wasn't doing that when we met. I was chilling. So it's a blessing to find a woman who don't act like you, don't act like me when it comes to that. Could you imagine if your wife had the same habits as you? Where you would be today? Oof. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These are things to just consider. And it's even worse if you're already a health nut. Right?
Yeah, true.
It's kicked in overdrive. This is of the utmost importance if you're a real health nut.
True.
Workout warrior. Really disciplined in what you eat. It stands out even more because that's your life. It's important because, again, she is going to be, unless you're going to take control of it, she's going to be the one determining what y'all eat. She's going to be a big driver of that. So I think that's important. She cares about smoking.
Are we talking cigarettes?
We're talking anything.
Definitely not cigarettes. That's a red flag. But not for medicinal purposes.
It ain't for me.
It ain't for you. That's a red
deal
flag.
Breaker.
That's a deal breaker.
I don't think there's anything more unattractive about a woman than smoking.
Of any kind.
Oh my gosh, bro. When I tell you my high school crush was Maya, and may even be my adult crush still.
The singer?
Yes.
She smokes?
No.
Oh.
I want to let y'all know how
So
real
that's going to be new.
I want to let y'all know how real this is.
Breaking news.
I'm about to be Googling something. I'm like,
It's like, whoa, how that sneak past me? But go ahead.
If I had a shot with Maya and she lit up a cigarette,
Done.
I would about face.
Dunzo. Not your thing.
Can't do it. Light up anything if y'all want to keep this in depth. That's just me, though. You smoke, do your thing.
Well, again, I know people who smoke. It's different. The house has a house smell that goes back into the whole, you know what I mean? How does their car smell? You know what I'm saying?
Voice?
dry kisses.
You imagine going up to your woman, kissing her on the neck,
and you just smell.
you get nicotine on your tongue. Then you inhale the smell. Dried carcinogens. You want me to be turned on? Man, give me a break. I know it's for some guys.
Yeah, if you smoke,
but it ain't for this one.
If you smoke, hey, it's almost like the tattoo thing. If you smoke, hey, y'all a match.
Jeez, I had a young homie. He does listen to this, but it's cool. He doesn't care. I had a young homie. This came up on his Instagram stories, and his thing was he can't deal with the cigarettes. He can deal with the marijuana. And his thing was it's nothing like sitting down and just burning one with your woman after a long day. Okay. That's for him.
Sounds like they're compatible, right?
Sounds like they're compatible.
But if that's not your thing, don't play yourself. Don't play yourself. Just like all of this stuff is about, is this your thing?
Right.
These are things to consider.
I'm not mad at it if it's yours. I'm not mad at it.
All these things are things to consider.
But back to the whole
health
crux of this thing, the health. It's an important conversation. It's an important question.
Yes, absolutely. 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 Have we, I don't think, are there any
There's one
other,
more.
What you had?
No, I'm talking about from the list that I read.
What you got?
You forgot stage of life.
We talked about that the last time. Would you like me to reiterate?
What's the name of this podcast? What's the name of this podcast and how did I get here?
It's the War Report. We talk about
Okay, well, I guess that's it.
how you think we any red flags that we like there's some things I'm willing to say this is a red flag because I pointed it out. If you can't talk to her about the co-parenting situation, that's a red flag. There are certain things that are just, some things are yellow flags that you're gonna have to address and have conversations about to determine. It could be a red flag that's been painted yellow, but you have to investigate and do your due diligence to find out, are there some red flags for you that if this happens, Gat identified one, smoking was a big one for
I
him.
identified several. What you talking about, Walker?
Give me another one.
I said a red flag is kids versus no kids. Bye.
Kids versus, oh.
Bye.
Yeah, red flag. If they don't want kids.
I'm not wasting your time, you're not wasting
If the guy
mine.
don't want kids or the woman don't want kids, that's a red flag.
I'm going to go find a woman that smokes.
With kids.
You're not going to stop till all Letitia's business is put on this podcast. She coming for us.
Hilarious. Black, you good?
I'm good.
One last thing before we wrap. The biggest thing I want to convey is our brothers need to have standards for themselves.
100%.
Brothers need to have them, because I'm a guy who really didn't have a really defined set of standards, and it caused me some troubles. You're going to have troubles regardless, but it caused me some avoidable troubles along the way.
Yeah.
And beyond those standards, when you start introducing women into the conversation in terms of dating them, you must know those, and you must be unapologetic and adhere to those standards.
Yeah. And you're not sassy. You're not what all of the ad hominems that get thrown your way for men who have standards.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Men get shamed.
You're not a simp either.
Sure.
You're not.
And you're not insecure.
You're not
No,
insecure.
you're not insecure.
Yeah, that's another one. You're insecure, you're sassy, you all these types of, if you have standards that you're not willing to compromise for yourself, for sure. So,
Just had to say that.
no, I appreciate it. I thought this was good, man.
It's good.
I think this has been a good several weeks of just talking through relationships and marriage and dating and vetting and all that type of stuff. So glad we was able to put a period on this one, man, and move on. All right, y'all. Well, you already know what to do. Please like, share, subscribe to us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter X. You can find us on IG as well as TikTok at THA The Tipping Point. One word. And with that, I'm Caesar Walker. This guy over here is Ronnie Gatry. The voice in the background is Black. And we are the Tipping Point Podcast. Thanks again for watching.